right, let's repeat. We're on page 194, 5 lines from the bottom. The line begins with Azen Netzlu Hasesfiris. I was explaining the principle that the Aveda of Avraham and so the Aveda, all throughout the period that they were bringing the Shekhinah down, Milmata Lamata. This was the Aveda Lahoisif Oires Ba'atzilus, to increase the light and the brightness in Atzilus. And Rebbe goes on to explain what is the principle in this. And the first thing to understand is that Atzilus, although in Atzilus, there are these Esesphiris. But the Esesphiris in Atzilus, the whole purpose of them, their whole function, is not to make the Olam HaAtzilus, but to make that which will make it possible to create the worlds of Bri Yitzir Asiyah. And he distinguishes that in contrast to a person, whereby a person, the koiches of seichel and midas, these are things which define the person. This is to himself. This is him. Seichel clearly is for himself. This defines what his perceptions are, what his reality is. Midas, even though midas a function in his relationship to others, how he feels for others, but that feeling for others is also part of him. It's a necessary part of the person. To have midas, to have Abba V'yira, and being to relate to others. This is all defining and creating this person. But Atzilus is not for itself. Because Atzmus in Soiv, Atzilus is not necessary for itself. It is necessary only in order to make it possible to create Chochmah and Bina and all the spheres, all the koiches, Lamata, all the way to Seichel Anushi. Because from the source of it all, from Ein Sof, it could not come to be created. Even though there is Chochmah in Atzmas Ein Sof, this is what we explained the last thing. There is Chochmah there. Everything is there. But the Chochmah at that level is not a Metzius of Chochmah. This is what we Chakim B'lo B'Chochmah Yidiyah. It's not a definable Chochmah, and therefore from this cannot be created a Metzius of Chochmah. In Atzilus we have Chochmah Yidiyah, it defines the Chochmah, and therefore from Atzilus can be created worlds. And
it's not Atzmus?
No.
Soviv Kolam?
No.
In Sof?
No. It's Malay. Yeah. So this is something. This is what we learned last time when we discussed this. Give the moshel from Seichel Anushi. That Seichel Anushi emanates from the human being, but the human being per se will not create the seichel. Do you remember that?
What's per se?
Without being defined, without being taught. If you tell a child, eat with a spoon, he will understand eat with a spoon. But if you tell him eat like a human being, he wouldn't know what you're talking about. Even though that when you tell him to eat with a spoon, he says, oh yeah, that's the right thing to do. So that means that from the essence itself, it will never happen. From definition, action cannot come from the essence. It has to come from the seichel.
So how come it relates to the essence eventually?
Because
oh yeah, that's me. That's how it's supposed to be. How can
right.
I suddenly understand it?
Because all the
essence,
koiches, everything emanates from the essence.
There's no definition in the essence. There's no
definition.
Not even to derech eretz, not even to anything.
That's correct. There's no definition, but everything comes from there. This is one of the most difficult aspects to ever understand. What does it mean? It's there, but it's not there. But nevertheless, we are exposed, and we need to be able to relate to this, and we could see that this is the way it is. That is an essence. And this essence relates to everything about the person. Not only to functioning cases, to everything. Like we said, a person has all kinds of koiches, seichel and midas, and he has feet to move around, he has 5 fingers, he has whatever the human design is, all kinds of important and unimportant parts. And there are things which are more important, some are less important. But none of these things are there because they were just attached to him. From just somebody decided, let's make another finger. Everything there refines the person. Everything fits in with the total person. This is the way a human being is supposed to be. And if a person, like I always bring out, if a person is missing a little toenail that doesn't interfere with his activity at all, he's a Balmum. And he can do the Aveda in Beis Hamikdash. What's he missing? He's not a perfect person. Why does a person have 5 fingers or 5 toes? Because that's how a human being is. Just like, why does he have a brain? Why does he have seichel? Because he's a human being. So everything emanates from the essence.
The essence, it's each person have his essence, or all the human beings have coming from one essence?
How do you want me to answer that question? All human beings are created, all human beings come from one human being. And they all represent, reflect what a human being is.
When we say the son, he's coming from the essence of the father, right? So it's mean not his son is not coming from his essence. So it means like
That is also called essence, but on a different level, on a much lower level. They have some similarities on a much lower level, some personal connection. But all human beings are human beings. They are essentially the same.
So it depends on which level you look. In some level, each person has his essence, but if you look in the general, so everybody has one.
That's right. Just like we said, Seichel Anushi. Seichel Anushi is a very low level of the Seichel of a person. But the Seichel Eliki, it depends on which level you look.
So even in this lower level of essence, Seichel Anushi, you cannot describe the essence?
You cannot?
Describe the essence?
No. Let me give you even a simpler illustration of that concept. See this beam over here standing? If it weren't there, if you weren't there, and you wanted to make a shul over here, you would immediately say, here is where it belongs. In other words, the beamer was there before you put it there. But it wasn't there. From the perspective of this room, this is where it is. The same thing, you go into an apartment. An apartment has many rooms. And you go in, it's empty. There's no furniture whatsoever. Somebody asks you, okay, where should we make the dining room? You immediately say, here is where it belongs. This is a dining room. This is a bedroom. This is a kitchen. This is a living room. Why? There's no furniture there. You already envision it with the furniture because that's the way it should be.
Where's the essence?
Just the design of the house.
You cannot explain why you can say this is the place, because it's logically it's fit to the.
The logic comes after the fact. You feel comfortable. This is the way it is, and you can put it any other way. You can make it. You make it a different way. I just want to stop. Somebody calling him. What?
Is your son? The one that with you?
That's my son. Shmuel, yeah.
So say the etzem, this bima should be over here. This is the.
Right. I mean, this is a much lower level. I'm just showing you that you can see things being there before they're there. And then they're not there. They beckon, they request that you should put it there.
But why? You can make excuses why, but like you just know it.
But just know it, right.
So etzem is you know, but you cannot describe why.
Certainly, when you call it on Ruchnizik and on human being and Koiches Odom, it's It's much, much deeper than that. You know what I'm saying?
In the example of an apartment, the walls already describing where the things are. Without what would be...
Nevertheless, practically speaking, you need furniture to have a dining room. Right? And yet you say, this is a dining room, even if there's no furniture. That means it's there even before it came to being. Just giving you a sense of what calls a higher perspective. A human being has seichel. Not because he has seichel, but because a human being should have seichel. And when a human being doesn't act up his seichel, you say he's not acting like a human being. What do you mean not? He's acting like himself. But he looks like a human being, he's not acting like one. Verstehst? Because that's his essence represents that type of presence. All right. Thus, this is what the Pasuk says. Ki imcha mekoir chayim, ba'oircha nire oir. This is a Pasuk. And the meaning of these words is, Ki imcha, because with you is Mokoir Chaim, is the source of life. Ba'oircha, with your light, Nire Oir, we shall see light. We have light because we have some of coming from your light. And what is the meaning? What is the Rebbe want us to see in this pasuk? The whole mash in his hava, Ba'oirmas biyah, that everything that was created in the worlds, in Briyat Yirasiyo, Mokir HaChayim, Hu Bechinas Hu Atzilus. The source of this life in the world is Bechinas Hu Atzilus. This is the Atzilus aspect.
Is this the source of life is coming from there?
Yes. Bechinas Hu Atzilus. Okay. Let's understand this pasuk. It says over here, Ki imcha mekoir chayim. Imcha means with you. Why does it not say mimcha, from you? Because the source of light is from you. Right? It comes from Hashem. And yet it says imcha, with you. It says with you, that implies that we're talking about something not you, but something that is with you, that is very close to you. And that is Bechinas Hu Atzilus. That is the Atzilus aspect. Atzilus is different than Biyah. Like in the whole time we see it. Atzilus is a source for Biyah. Biyah, this is called B'yitzirasi. These are real worlds where there is a real presence. Atzilus is all oir, all in our terminology would be all concepts. All Atzilus is essentially the world of seichel. Just like in a human being. Seichel, that which a person conceptualizes in his seichel, he conceptualizes it clearly, but it's not a presence. It doesn't really exist as a presence. It exists only while he conceptualizes it, while he thinks of it. When you have midas, for instance, midas, feelings, that already is an experience. that a person experiences. That which a person conceptualizes in his seichel, that's not a presence. Sometimes we can even imagine things which can't even exist, because it's not a real presence. So Atzilus is not what's called a created world. Atzilus, that's what's called Atzilus. Atzilus means it's something that emanates, that reveals itself, but it's not created as a separate presence, as a separate thing. And it always remains dependent and connected to the source. This is called Imcha. But this, even though it's connected to the source, but this makes it possible that from this should come Chaim into the world. And this is what we explained, that Atzilus, the whole world of Atzilus, is for the sake to be able to create the great worlds. And that's what the Pasuk says. Imcha mekor chaim. Kol ma shenizhava be'ilmus b'yah. Everything that was created in the ilmus b'yah, mokir ha'chaim hu b'chinas hu atzilus. The source for this life is b'chinas hu atzilus, is the atzilus aspect. What is the atzilus aspect? The atzilus aspect is that which emanates and shows itself from the essence, from that which is higher than Atzilus, and it simply expresses itself. But it's not yet a creation. Ma shenire oir bibiyah, and that fact that nire oir, that we can see light, bibiyah, in the world, hu be'oircha, it is only be'oircha, it is because of your light. Bebchinas ha'oir da'atzilus, because of the oir of Atzilus. Shezehu gamkin rag ha'or levad. This oir in Atzilus is also only a ha'or levad, only a reflection of the essence. It is not the essence, but this ha'or makes it possible that it should come down into the world. Ba'or hazu hi alidei tzimtzum otzum. This ha'or that comes into Atzilus comes through a tzimtzum otzum, through a very strong tzimtzum, contraction, ba'oir in soif baruhu, contraction in the oir in soif, lihiyois ho Atzilus, in order that it has to be contracted in order that there should be the Atzilus. I want to explain briefly this union of dimensions over here, the tzimtzum otzum bein isof liiso atzilus. the concept of Oir Ein Sof. Oir Ein Sof. Now, if this is Ein Sof, this without limit, therefore, it cannot be said that it is here and not here, because it's Ein Sof. Ein Sof means it's all over. Not only can it not be said that it's here and not here, but it cannot be said that it is here first and then here. Because if you say that it's first here and then here, that means there was a time that it wasn't here. Oir Ein Sof means that it is simultaneously every place. In other words, it is not an union that comes from one place to another, that comes into being. It is there all the time. It's not dependent on time and space. That's what Oir Ein Sof. From Oir Ein Sof, as we said before, cannot be created a world. Because what is world? World is time and space. World cannot tolerate something that is essence. In world, everything has to come in piecemeal. Like, for instance, in our own experience, everything that we know, we had to acquire this knowledge. Now, acquire means you have to learn it. Something that we know without learning, just we know, we don't really know. What do we know? That which we experienced in getting to know it. The process of getting to know it, this makes us know it. This is the pshat that we know. I learned it, and I got this knowledge. Something that I knew without learning, I don't even know it. It's not called knowledge. I mentioned to you that years back there was a boy in Israel who, it says that the baby, the malach teaches the whole Torah before the baby is born. And then, when it gets born, it forgets it. So there was this Matza, this is something which is a real story. Somebody actually saw this boy that I know, that this boy really knew the whole Torah. Huh?
When he's born?
He was born. Everything. He came to Cheder to learn, and the Rebbe says something, and he starts rattling it off by heart. He knows everything.
When was it?
This was in the 50s, 1950s.
You saw him?
I didn't see him. I spoke to somebody who himself spoke to him. This was an old story, a famous story in those days.
I heard it. Yeah, I heard it.
He mamish knew the whole Torah. He came to Cheder. He couldn't teach him. He started Aleph, that Aleph is Gimel Dal. Whatever you teach him, he knows. So you would say, oh, wonderful, right? Wonderful, he knows everything. Terrible. It's a tragedy. Because he knows everything, but he knows nothing. And he can't even learn it. Because in order to learn it, you have to learn it as something new. But for him, it's not new. And he doesn't really know. It's like knowing things instinctively. Like we say, have like an animal knows things. It's not knowledge. Instinct. He doesn't know what he knows. It's not called knowledge. Something that flows right out from him. He is not conscious. It's not intellectual knowledge. And it's not called knowledge. So the story goes, and they took this child to the Belzer Rebbe, and the Belzer Rebbe gave him a bracha that he should forget. So I don't know if it happened further than that, but that was the story that I heard.
I hear a lot.
Huh?
I hear he's taking the shoes and him. He said when the child born, so why we have this?
Right. Anyways, so the story as it is, the idea is that knowledge, our knowledge is only that which we acquired and we experience getting to know it. That which we don't experience getting to know it is not called knowledge. And there are people, for instance, who have what's called photographic memories. So you say it's a wonderful thing. In a certain sense, it's a curse. Because they never dig in to try to understand what they're learning. I know people that read something and they know it by heart, and he doesn't know what he read. Knowledge, even memory, means that I know what I learned, I know what I remember. I understood it. I went through a process of getting to it. When it came automatically, that's not called knowledge. This is the way it is by us, in our world, with Mokim Uzman, that we have to know what we know. In Ein Sof, that thing doesn't exist. And this is why, if we have a Gilu Ein Sof, it's no way for us to relate to it. To us, it has to come through a tzimtzum. The Ein Sof has to be contained, contracted. And what should be released, what should be shown, only limited emanations, limited lights, so that it can be recognized with Chochmah and Bina and Das and Midas. So it can be put in context. Then it becomes Chochmah.
But it's still inside.
No, this is the difference between Atzilus and Biyah. Atzilus, it's not Ein Sof, it's called Elokus. Biyah is no longer Elokus. This principle that I'm saying now is a separate union that we'll discuss some other time. But Ein Sof, it is not. Because Ein Sof is not in the world. It cannot be Chochmah, Bina, V'das, and Ein Sof.
How can it be that Ein Sof is not there anymore?
Oh, it's concealed. It's there, but it's concealed. Just like, everything. Elokus is here all the time, but we don't see it.
Oh, it's here.
Huh?
It is here.
Of course it's here. Of course it's here. But we don't see it. We see that which gets created by it. So this is what the Rebbe says, that in order for it to come into Atzilus, it has to go through a tzimtzum otzum be'oirin soif boru, a powerful tzimtzum in oirin soif, so that there should be Atzilus. Because the word Atzilus means not it itself, but next to it. In order to be next to it, the Ein Sof has to be contracted, has to be restrained, so that you have an oil coming out. So even though, like you said, Ein Sof is there automatically, but it's being restrained from being revealed. That capability, that possibility of it being there and not being sensed, that's already something which we don't have emotional attachments at all. That's a koyach halakhi. That's called yesh me'ayin. Okay, let's continue. And as the Pasuk says, Nifloisecho machshvoisecho eleinu. Nifloisecho means your wonders, or machshvoisecho in your thoughts, eleinu, that which comes to us, meaning l'tzoyrecho eilamis, for the sake of the worlds, the great worlds. Ein aroich eilecho. These thoughts that come to us from you is ein aroich eilecho, are not comparable to you. Ein aroich means they're not comparable. They're completely on a different level than you yourself. Lagabe atzmus ein sof. In comparison, relative to Asmus Ein Sof, it's completely Ein Aruch. And then the Pasuk says, Agido v'adabeiro otzmu misaper. Agido v'adabeiro, I will tell and I will speak. Otzmu misaper, they are greater than can be told and they can be related. And that implies that there has to be many tzimtzumim. So that the wonders and Hashem's thoughts should reach us, there has to be a lot of speaking, meaning a lot of tzimtzumim before it can reach us. You need a copy? Oh, you don't have 195? Okay. Yeah, please. Okay. Well, let's stop this. Shetzorich liyos ribe tzimtzumim. This means that there need to be many tzimtzumim liyos nifloisecho mashvisecho eleinu, so that Hashem's wonders and thoughts should reach to us. Ukmei shekosuv, and as the Pasuk says, V'hachochma me'ayin timotzei. Chochma me'ayin, from nothing, from ayin timotzei it comes out, which means that it is b'derech yesh me'ayin, that the chochma comes in a manner that's called yesh me'ayin. So this is mentioned here very briefly, but surely you learned about yesh me'ayin. And the concept of yesh me'ayin means, in truth, this is similar to what we discussed before, like the seichel coming from something which is higher than seichel. And over there, the seichel doesn't exist. It's ayin. There's nothing over there that you can identify and say, here, this is where it's coming from.
So if we think it's like we create the chokhmah?
Right. This is like a creation of chokhmah.
And it's in our power to do it. I mean, when drawing chokhmah, is the chokhmah that already existed? Or we...
No. We were given the chokhmah. We were created with the chokhmah. We used the koyach ha-chokhmah to understand.
No, I'm saying, but whatever you understand, whatever you bring to your mind, whatever comes to your mind, the haskalah.
That's the koyach ha-chokhmah. We already have. The haskalah is in the chokhmah. That's... let's first understand this. Ha-chokhmah me'ayin timotze means the koyach ha-chokhmah. The chokhmah itself, the ability, the inyan ha-chokhmah comes from ayin. It is also... First let's understand this inyan. It said me'ayin, it comes from ayin, it means to say that the source of the chokhmah is not chokhmah at all. It is something which is in a completely different level. And therefore, when it comes into chokhmah, it seems like chokhmah is coming from nowhere, from ayin. Because from the perspective of chokhmah, you see nothing there. And in order that it should come into chokhmah, that needs to be limited, so that it can be defined in the form of chokhmah. And this is what we said before. The mashal for this is like in the Seichel Anushi. They have the chokhmah, the simple chokhmah that teaches a person how to behave, how to live like a person, like a human being. So, in the essence of him being a human being, these things don't exist. There's nothing in him to say that you have to behave this way or that way. But on the chokhmah, on the seichel level, this is where it gets interpreted that way. In the action level. Do you follow what I'm saying? This is what we discussed before.
So he discovered something he already had. That's what you said.
Mm-hmm.
He discovered, but he discovering something he already had.
But he did not have it. He did not have it in a chokhmah form. He didn't know what he had. And we cannot know, like we don't know like I said before, what a human being is. What is the essence of a human being? We know how it emanates in his koiches, in his thoughts, in his seichel. But what the human being itself stands for, that we don't know. That's greater than what we can define in our seichel.
Can I ask, what is Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem? Reshit Chochmah?
What?
Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem.
Okay, let's not go away. 1 second. Let's stick to this point here. So, the point is that Chochmah Me'ayin Timotzi is to point out that in order it should come Chochmah, there has to be like a tzimtzum, so that the Chochmah comes like in a different world, and you don't see where it's coming from. It comes from Ayin. Because if the source is revealed, then there's no Chochmah. Just like, for instance, we have light from the sun. But if we bring the sun over here, there'll be no light. In order to be light, the sun has to be far away. And it comes down here, we take a little bit of the light and it becomes light.
It means it's so contrasted that you look on this, it's like two opposites.
Right, you don't even see how one comes from the other.
But you know it's from the other because you're feeling from it, because it's acquiesced.
This is why this Yesh Miyayim principle is the reason why it is so difficult to see godliness in the world. Because the world is Yesh Miyayim. And when we look at the world, we see yes, we don't see the Ayin, we don't see godliness. And it becomes compelling to say the world is just a Metzias for itself. In order to see that it's not a Metzias for itself, that it comes from someplace, it comes from Ayin, you have to apply your Seichel. Just physical sight doesn't tell you that.
But you say even for Sechel, it's when the Sechel
The Seichel, at least you can understand that this is how it is, but you don't see the Ayin.
you don't see the connection, but you know it has to be like this.
It has to be like this, right? V'zehu, and thus this is what we said before. This is the meaning of what we said before. Sho'eses fireis hein rozo dishmei. That the Eses Spheres, the 10 spheres of Atzilus, they are also referred to as the Shemes, the names of Hashem. Sheheim Shemois, which means that they are just names, meaning to say, Shem v'ha'ora liyois mokoir. It's a name and a ha'ora to become a source. Like we discussed yesterday, that the whole union of names, a name is a very external part in a person. It doesn't grab a person, a part of a person. It's an external thing. It's almost like just an external show. It's not part of him.
External?
External.
Where is external in
Name. What?
Oh, external is name?
No.
External.
It's external. It's not part of him. This is why the spheres are called shameless, because they're completely outside. They're like a ha'ara only reflection, not the essence.
Secret?
Rosa Dishmei, this right, the secret of his name, meaning
Shemai is heaven, so it's name.
Shmei name. The Shmei, his name. This is an Aramaic form, not Shemaim. Shmei, his name. And the principle that he used the word Rosa Dishmei, the Rosa, the secret of his name, because all of these terms, we say shame and ha'ora and tzimtzum, all of these terms are terms that we apply from our own experience. We call this shame, we call this name. But the way it is Lamaila, it's a completely different way. And that's why it's called Rosa Dishmei. What is the pnimis, the secret of that? What is the idea of the name? The Gam, Klonus, or Atzilus, Klonus or Atzilus, the Atzilus in general, Hu Hagilui begin the Ishtameidun Lei. Atzilus is the revelation from Ein Sof. Begin the Ishtameidun Lei, begin means in order. The Ishtameidun Lei, that he should be known. Okmeshekosam HaPardes B'Shar Shem Ben Dalet, as the Pardes writes, the Atzilus hu shmoi shel ho'ein soif moire atzmusoi. Atzilus is the name of the Ein Sof, but there are different levels in names. There is a name that is moire atzmusoi, a name that is indicative of his essence. Like you can have names that are indicative of one's capabilities, of one's faculties, and then there is a name that is moire on the essence itself. Okay, let's get into something that we can understand. Hine Avraham him shichtois v'soy ba'atzilus. Avraham brought additional oil in Atzilus, which means alidei aveidosei b'mesiras nefesh. As a result of his avodah b'mesiras nefesh begufu u'b'nishmos, that he was moiser nefesh with his body and soul. Shahoy b'mesiras nefesh mamash begufoi. Avraham went through mesiras nefesh, real mesiras nefesh, with his very body, b'chol hanisyoyin shenisnase, with all the tests and all the difficulties that he went through. And he took it up, he stood up to everything. V'hoyim b'bitl v'shiflos b'tachlis. And Avraham was in a state of total bitl v'shiflos, total nullification, shiflos, personal lowliness. Whatever comes to him, that's what he accepts. Ad shehoya kemoiser ba'olam. Avraham, in his own eyes, he saw himself kemoiser like something extra, something which is unnecessary, like yeast, like leftovers, ba'olam in the world. B'chol asher loi, all that he had, no san rezulos, he gave to others. Shaloho yotzorich le'atzmoi klum, where he did not need anything for himself. Okmesha kosuv, Ve'onoichi ofer ve'ofer. As the Pasuk says, Abraham said to Hashem, Onoichi ofer ve'ofer. I am like dust and ashes. This is his Mesiras Nefesh, begufay, with his body. Ubenishmasay, and the Mesiras Nefesh with his neshama is because Hoya betoikev ho'ahava, Abraham was always with the strongest ahava, betachlis, to the extreme. Betachlis ha'yis kashrus v'hadveikus b'elokus, the total connection to Elokus. Shalahifsik afilo rega echot. He did not interrupt even for one moment. Mehis kashrusei udveikusei. For one moment, he did not distract himself from his connection to Elokus. Ubachol yoim v'yoim, and every day, each day, holach be'ilui achar ilui. He went on higher and higher. The malas hadveikus, deeper and deeper in his connection to Elokus. Meshakosu, what the Pasuk says, is halech lefonai. Hashem said to him, Abraham, his halech lefonai, that he should walk before me, meaning that he should walk going higher and higher. The chol hiluch hu aliyah bebchinas bli gvul. Because hiluch, the meaning of hiluch is to rise up without limit. And the Pasuk says that Abraham continued to go and move hanegba, sheholach midargo ledargo, that he was constantly moving from level to level. Kol kach hoya betachlis hadveikus. Abraham was dveikus to Elokus to such an extent, ad shehelo kol ha'olam, so that he was able to raise up the whole world. Gam ha'inyonim ha'chumriyim, even the lowest aspects of the world. Sheniskashru v'nidbeku be'Elokus. All the lowest, that Abraham was able to bring about that the lowest elements in the world should also be connected to Elokus. All right. I have to see whether we should continue with this. Find something lighter. I didn't think it would be so hard, but it is.